Hey, good morning, everyone. So my presentation is going to be a little bit different. Thanks for having me. I'm Maya. I lead client services at One Rockwell. We are a remote agency based in the United States. We're Platinum Shopify and Platinum Klaviyo, working on our elite partnership. So I'm not here to sell you the answer. I'm not here to tell you that we know what we're doing. I'm actually here to tell you the opposite. We don't know what we're doing. But before I do that, let me tell you slightly a little bit about myself. So I've been working in the e-commerce and digital marketing industry for almost 20 years. I say almost because it's like 19 years. I have been on both sides of the fence. So I've worked for brands across North America, and then I've also worked for agencies across North America. I was with Tomorrow Agency, Noticed Agency, most recently Domain, and I've been at 1R for about a year and a half. When I say I run client services, I oversee all of our lines of service. So trying to figure out how we grow our clients, but also in a profitable way for the agency that grows the agency as well, because we're all here to make money for ourselves and for our clients. So I'm going to divide this presentation into kind of three sections. As you saw, the title is Keeping the Human in AI. It's our philosophy at the agency. I'm going to walk you through how we've been structuring the agency to support that philosophy, but then also support what we're hearing, the demands from our clients. And then one useful workflow. This is an AI and automation summit. So let's get into it. So here's where I want to start. And it's the most honest place to start. We don't have AI figured out. We've been talking about this. Everybody loves talking about Grant, but I also like Grant's talk. We're all trying to figure out where to begin. How do we structure our agency to ingest what's happening in the AI world? And then also, how do we tell our clients what to do and how to use AI? It's a bit of a conundrum. We're starting from scratch. New tools are coming out just as we're learning how to use them and as we're trying to decide what we're going to use within our agency. And then we're testing. So at our agency, when we say we're keeping the human in AI, we're looking, we're testing, we're iterating, and then we're also repeating constantly. What we were doing from the beginning was, that discovery element. Let's have everybody use AI, figure out what they're going to use it for, and then we'll disseminate. That doesn't work. It makes things clunky. It makes things stuck. It moves the bottlenecks from one side to the other side. And so we've been just trying to figure out how do we get better at that. And so what we found is we're going to continually ask questions. Questions that we're asking are, what kind of work do we want our people to spend time doing? I'm sure you've heard this. I've heard the word a few times. I've expected to hear it more, but clients want strategy. Clients are coming to your agency for a point of view on their business. But really, if we're in the details and we're not actually picking up our heads and giving our client a point of view and giving them a direction of how to improve their business, they're not going to hire us. They're going to hire someone else. They're going to hire Anzen. And so we're asking, what kind of work do we want our team to be doing, and who should our team be? What should AI support? So really, great. We have these tools. We have this tool in our tool belt, but what should it do for us, and how do we automate it? And then how should we structure the agency for all of these things to work together? So Grant mentioned bottlenecks. Everybody's talked about bottlenecks. But in order to stop a bottleneck from happening, you have to structure things in the right way. So how do we structure our team to make sure that we are all communicating in the same way, but then also giving a point of view to our client? It's complicated, right? This isn't a finished answer. I'm not going to give you the answer, but I'm going to show you a little bit about what we're doing in order to meet that. So what we're creating space for. I love this quote. It is from our co-founder, Paul Helion. If you were here last year, you met him. He's one of the most lovely humans I've ever had the pleasure to work for. Just kind. And what he says, and he says this often, is our job isn't to replace humans with machines, it's to use machines to help humans shine brighter. That's how he talks. It's so nice. But it's really, AI is here, like we've said, everybody said, it's a tool in our tool belt to help us work better. And so what we've taken is we've taken this as our actual agency philosophy. It sounds a bit hokey pokey, but it truly is how we work. How do we make sure that we're looking at a tool and it's not making work for us? We found when we were in that experimentation stage that people were forgetting that we're an agent or a client services agency. We're not an AI invention agency. So they were forgetting the whole point of view aspect. They were forgetting how to actually do the work. And so when we look at this, we're not looking at AI to make the decision for us. We're looking at AI to be the tool to help us make the decision. So what does this look like? How have we put this into practice? This is how we think about where AI fits. So we talk about human direction, AI amplification, and human judgment. It's a sandwich. AI is in the middle. It's the tool. Again, it's our tool belt. The human belongs at the start and also at the end. So we break this down. The human direction, it defines the problem, it provides the context, it sets the standard, it really sets what we want to see in the outcome, and then we set our AI to work. And you did this beautifully in describing how you're setting things up. So it gathers, it organizes, drafts, it accelerates, and then the human, that is us, it interprets, it decides, and remains accountable. So I think that's the biggest part. It remains accountable. What are we presenting to our clients? How does it look? Is this good enough? Do we need to refine? Do we need to put it back into the machine? And so, to be clear, it's not protecting I know we talk a lot about IP, but it's not protecting the tasks that we do. It's figuring out which tasks needs to stay and which tasks need to go somewhere else, and then improving those tasks. The goal for us, so why are we doing all of this? We hear, again, clients asking for strategy. We want strategy. How do we get strategy? You need room to think. And so what we're doing is employing this way of thinking in order to create space for our team so they have time to think. They have time to create a unified strategy, and they have time to give our clients a point of view. So let's talk about structuring the agency in creating space and creating a product that gives clients a point of view. So at 1R, we talk about 1R. Sounds hokey, but it's the truth. How do we ensure that our clients are getting one product? So we've heard from various different types of agencies out there today. I'm a third type of agency that we're hearing from. And clients, what we hear more and more often is a client doesn't want to spend their time managing several different agencies. But also, if they're coming to an agency for a unified service, they also don't want to spend their time managing several different silos within an agency. So we took the concept of 1R and keeping the human and AI, and we've actually reformatted and restructured our team. We've created the idea of program management as the glue to create a unified client strategy. So this is something that we've recently come up with. We've began structuring program management last year and reorganizing our whole entire staff and ensuring that the program is the start of the strategy for the client. We've renamed this and rebuilt it Growth Services. So we've pulled all of our experts into one team where they can sit down together, they sit with their program manager, and we look at the client and we create a program for that client. How are we going to help them grow? I should define that within the agency we have lifecycle marketing, we have SEO, we have development, we have design, and we have strategy and analytics. All of those teams except for design and technology sit in one team together. So they're sitting and they're creating strategy using their tools with their program, and we're delivering that one unified program to our client. We've also organized in this way to allow each team to be accountable for the AI tools that they're using. Instead of having this bottleneck of like, oh, that team has reporting, that team has this, that team has that, the director and the leader of each team is responsible for disseminating and ensuring that that team is accountable for their tools. And then additionally, with technology, the technology department is overseeing our structure for AI and ensuring that our team is sharing and disseminating skills across the agency as well. I'm happy to go through this in more detail, but I made a nice simple diagram. So let's define what this breakdown in responsibilities actually looks like. So we've created clear functional ownership. We talk a lot about accountability and bottlenecks. Again, I've mentioned it several times, but I think the only way to remove bottlenecks and ensure accountability is to make sure everybody knows what they're doing. So here's how we've broken down, in our new structure, how we've broken down each of the responsibilities. So program management is responsible for integrated delivery. They're also responsible for the spark of the strategy. They know what the client needs, they know their client goals, they've created goals with their client, and then they know which levers to pull with the growth services. So they're sitting down with the growth services team, and the growth services is our growth expertise. They're creating scaling methods. They're implementing programs with their program manager for the client. Our technology team, we've consolidated our technology team. Previously we had developers, tech leads, different program managers, a myriad of things. We've simplified and scaled that technology team because, as we know, we have the great AI tools in order to help us code. So our technology team is now just really, they're responsible for technical delivery and AI enablement, that structure within the agency. Our design team is still a shared creative service, but they're using our AI tools in order to design their products. And then strategic accounts is still, you've all heard me talk ad nauseum about strategic accounts and account growth, but they're still owning that retention, that relationship with the client, the expansion contracts, the commercial relationship. So what really does this look like? What connects the work? It's one client roadmap, even though it's a multitude of services. It's one shared contact, so you have one program manager. It's clear handoffs amongst a team, so there's that spoke and there's that center of that team. It's one strategic point of view, so a client doesn't need to go to the SEO team, to the lifecycle team, to the development team. They're sitting together with a program manager, and it's measurable outcomes. It allows us to not only internally at the agency measure how AI is being used because we have that central management and that accountability tree. It also allows us to measure outcomes for our client in one central way. We're not showing that client 3 different dashboards because they have 3 different services. We're showing them one unified dashboard. We're actually working with many of you partners here in creating those dashboards, but we're sharing information that allows us to share a growth picture with that client and then in turn continue to grow that client because they're seeing one picture. Oh, I got out of breath there. AI, again, is amplifying the operating model that you already have or that we've already set up. The one useful workflow that kind of describes the kind of work that we're handing over to AI versus our strategy is the weekly client update. It's the tedious piece of work, and especially if you have this multitudes of services that your client is using. So our program manager, prior to us setting up this workflow, our program manager was combing Slack, looking at each one of our teams. So let's use an example. A client has lifecycle marketing, paid media, development, and design, almost all of our services. They're combing Slack. They're asking each one of those expert teams what they've done for the client. And if they're a good program manager, they know what they've done for that client. They're also combing Jira. We use Jira internally. They're also combing their Google Notes, and they're collecting all of these. They got 500 tabs open. They're spending, I don't know, however many hours for each client to create these client updates that are being sent out on a weekly basis, then also chasing the client to get approvals. That is not strategic time. That's not time well spent. That is client time that your clients are always asking you, do I really need this PM time? Well, let's get rid of that. We created a workflow that looks at Google transcripts, it looks at Notion, it looks at Harvest, it looks at PM Notes, it looks at Slack, and it looks at Jira. It also is able to make the decision if there isn't a note there, it confirms with the team and makes sure that we don't include those notes. It doesn't make a decision for us, but it does ask the question of the team, do you want to include notes that aren't there? It's also looking at time tracking. If our team hasn't fully implemented all their time, which you all know that you have to chase your teammates to also get their time entered. So it asks the PM, is this ready? And it prompts the PM if it's ready. And then it creates a beautiful client weekly update. It creates the update in Gmail as well as in Notion, and then prompts the PM, what is the system that you've set up to share this with your client? What does the weekly client update workflow look like? It's connected source. Claude gathers and organizes. It structures a first draft. The program manager reviews, and then the output gets sent where the program manager directs it. I'm happy to share the markdown for this. I was like, oh wait, I'll give you a code. You can download it and blah blah blah. Didn't think through that, and also it was 12 o'clock last night, and I wasn't going to do that. So, but I'm happy to share that if you want to reach out to me. Again, the key here is it's drafted. The PM and the program or the program manager, depending on their seniority within our agency, kicks this off. They're the one who starts it. It doesn't automate. We wanted to do that strategically in order to make sure the PM is ingesting this when they need to do it. They kick it off. It does its work. It spits out the draft. It also asks some questions along the way, almost as an interview. And then the PM refines, makes sure the strategy that is needed there is there. May need to pull in some other experts, and then it's sent off to the client on a weekly basis. Something that may have taken several hours has now taken about 30 minutes. And that really has helped us with that question of, does your PM need this much time? Yes, it does. Our PM needs all that strategy time to help your business improve. So I want to leave you with 3 things. As I mentioned at the beginning of this, we as an agency don't know what we're doing. We are taking an organized guess, we're refining it, and we're continuing to grow. But regularly, we're asking ourselves these questions. Where does the human need to be at the start? Like I said, our philosophy is we keep the human in AI. It's at the beginning and it's at the end. What administrative work is getting in the way of our team's best thinking? Clients want strategy. So how do we make room for that strategy continually, over and over again? And if I'm looking at our team's timesheets and I'm seeing that PM time creep up, what is that? What is the output of that PM time? Is it actual strategy that's being sent to the client? Or is it a weekly report that is being bogged down because perhaps something's broken within the system? And for you, what is one repeated process that you could improve this month? It's super simple, and it's a great place to start. You don't have to have the whole answer. I clearly don't. But you just need to start. Put your finger to the wind and find one thing to poke at. Oh, did it clip? Oh, I did put my LinkedIn there. But anyways, my name's Maya Gupta. I work at One Rockwell. I'm the VP of Client Services there. If you want to connect, let me know. I work with Tiara. I work with Rachel a lot. So I'm here, and I'm happy to help and chat about anything. That's me. Thanks, everyone.